yeah, I was like, I am creeped out, but I'm here for it. Choke me, Zaddy. Anywho,
No.
but
Welcome and greetings to you, barflies. It is I, Big Dan, Rodan. I'm coming to you live from the 215, your comic book connoisseur, your Somali of sci-fi and superheroes, here to welcome you to another episode of BNR My Barflies.
BNR, BNR, Ben,
That's
Ben, motherfucking R.
uh,
Oh.
as you can see, I am not by myself. We had to do this one remotely just so that way we can make sure it worked for everybody. And yeah. So I am by myself, but not talking to myself by myself.
Oh no, somebody call the cops.
One of these days. Uh, J- Jayhawk, you here, man?
Yeah,
Talk
I'm
to
I'm
them.
here. Tis I, hailing from the land of Sake, Shinobi, and Samurai. The boy is Godzilla personified. Ain't no other name but this to go by. It's your boy Jay Hawk.
Jayhawk.
Hit him with the sound.
That's right.
Yeah. As you can see, we are not by ourselves.
That's right.
We have a good friend here, K Sparks,
K
K
Sparks.
Dot.
Yes, sir. So, name is K Sparks. Thank you, gentlemen, for welcoming me to the podcast. K Sparks, aka Simba Sparks. I just remembered people used to call me that, so I'm going to use that as well. Right out here outside of West Philly, and I'm just happy to be here and fill in for some brothers.
That's right.
Awesome.
Happy to have you. Listen, before we jump
gonna
into
cut
it,
it short? Wow,
yeah,
you
I cut
gonna
it
cut it
short,
short? Wow.
only because I want to keep this train going. I feel like I got momentum and I want to keep it going.
Okay.
This is BNR, which stands for
Mhm.
Booze,
Booze.
News, and Reviews. And if you can see the color scheme behind me, you already know what we're about to talk about.
No.
But before we get into the review, we're going to do some booze.
Some booze.
Now, K Sparks, unfortunately, we weren't able to get this shipped to you fast enough.
Okay.
But if you got any booze that you sipping on, tell us about it.
I mean, I got this smooth agua. You know what I'm saying? From the straight from the spring of pure aqua. You know what I'm saying? Straight from the
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Who kills? Stand up.
You know what I'm saying? So school kill punch out here, never die.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I love
I'm
that
used
cocktail,
to
man. It's great.
it.
Keeps you alive.
100%.
Yeah.
Pure. Jayhawk, you are our bar master.
Indeed, indeed. This comes from our good friends at the Two Locals.
Two locals.
I want to say it's their newest one. Only because granted, it's not like I'd be like searching for beer,
Right.
but it's called Who You Wit. Who You Wit? Belgian style wit beer. 1 pint. It has 12 fluid ounces and it is 5.5 alcohol percentage. And it says we brewed this beer with Pilsner wheat and a nice serving of oats for a fluffy, soft body. We threw in orange peel, lemon peel, and coriander at the end of the boil. Bright citrus notes are complemented with clove-like flavors produced by the Belgian yeast esters.
Shout out to
This
Belgians.
is right. This is Two Locals. Who You Wit?
Who you
Belgian style wit beer. And I will say, if nothing else, the packaging is really interesting. You will see it over on the side, or wherever I put it when I'm doing the editing. So, but it looks really cool. Dan, tell us what you think about it.
The fluffy is real. This is light on every level of what they are trying to do here. It gives that Belgian feel for a Belgian light beer. I don't know if their intention was a light beer, but it feels light and airy. The citrus side kicks in more on the back end for me, and I don't know if I had something that like messed with my palate, but I didn't taste cloves. I'm gonna try again. just because we sitting here. I got time. Um,
I what's interesting is
oh, there
I
it is.
agree.
Found it. Sorry, I was waiting for. I
I
was trying to find
agree
the
with.
cloves.
I agree with this is definitely light, especially in comparison to their Nubian.
Mm.
Like their Nubian, like I was like, this it is not for me. um, this on the other hand, I could get down with. I'm definitely like beer isn't my thing in general, but like I can see myself like finishing this pint, probably opening up another one, and going from there. But I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot more than I enjoy the Nubian, and as I said, prefaced even with the Nubian, um, beer really isn't my forte. So I like
We
a
are the
lighter
Blerd bar
beer.
though, so
We are the
all of
Blur
them
Bar.
have to be our forte eventually.
That's not true. You can have your favorites.
I didn't
That's
sign
not
up
true at
for
all.
that.
Like,
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess it was just me.
yeah, it's just you out here in these streets.
Me and my liver.
um, but yeah, no, this is a fun little ride. I do think I feel I taste more of the orange than the lemon.
I do taste more of the orange instead of. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna be back.
No, all right. So for me, I would give Who You With. Um, I give it three. I give it three. 3 out of 5.
Are you giving it 3 out of
Um,
5 because you don't drink beer? Like, is
I've
there?
already prefaced
No, I'm
such.
just saying. Like, is that like the quantifier? Like, would it be higher if you were a beer drinker, or would it be lower if you were a beer drinker? That's what I'm asking.
I don't know. I don't know if I can speak to that.
Yeah.
Only because,
If you don't have a scale.
yeah.
I'm asking: is there a variant of you
Mm.
in another multiverse?
Mm.
Another
Yeah,
in a dream.
yeah.
Um, there might be a dream of me that would rate this higher as a beer drinking person.
Mm.
Um, but also I don't know because if that variant drinks beer the way I drink like rum
Hmm.
or like just mixed alcohol in general, then they probably wouldn't because this is so light. You know, like I enjoy this because this is so easy to get down and it's just like, oh yeah, like
Valid, valid.
there's
That's
those light.
what I was going for. That's what I was trying to get from
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
There's those light beer flavors. Like it still tastes like beer, but
Mhm.
it is very light. So I'm like, oh yeah, down this shit, it's fine.
Yeah, this is like
Um,
the same conversation I would be having with my variant version of myself if my wife and I switched taste buds because she's out here drinking moonshine straight,
Hey,
and I'm
moonshine,
just
stand up.
yeah, and I'm just trying to handle like a calypso, yeah, like a 5%. So I was like, hey, look, I didn't have way too many Seagrams. It's a little 5% John, but five times 5 is 25, and I'm feeling a little bit 25 right now. So
Got him out here in these streets like Norbit, just holding the cooler.
years over 2 Seagrams.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna give it because it's a lighter beer. Um, it does it feels fun. Like it feels like something I would bring to like a cookout, and for the people who aren't beer drinkers, like I'd show up with this and be like, hey, respectfully, don't touch my heavy stuff. You can have this.
that's exactly what this is.
Um, yeah, like if you're a Seagram's person,
Yep,
you know
that
what I'm
will be me.
saying. I got this one. I got this for you in the fridge, just waiting for you.
Right.
Um, and I think that's what they were going for with this.
Hmm.
And shout outs to Two Locals, man. Like
They
if
probably saw our review and was like, okay, well, let's make something.
if y'all made this for us specifically, if y'all made this for Jayhawk, Two Locals, I'm talking to you directly. If you made this for Jayhawk, we appreciate you because he
I
was out here in these
appreciate
streets struggling.
Now, is 2 Locals a subsidiary of 4 Locals? Is that the
Two
you.
Locals,
Nah,
Okay.
they're made in Philly.
yeah,
Oh, two
Two Locals,
locals. 2 Locals.
Yeah.
Got you.
two brothers who are local. in Philly.
Yeah.
215, stand up.
Dessert.
Yeah, I mean this logo is dope. They got the AI stepping over Tyronn Lue. I don't know how I feel about that
That's
as a
so
Lakers fan,
disrespectful.
but that's just I'm a Lakers fan, unfortunately.
We gonna be Philly wherever we are,
Yeah.
whether it be on a
I mean
beer can.
they got my uncle's likeness on here, Joe Frazier. This is dope.
They got my
Uh,
man's worst moment immortalized on a bottle. That's
they got
wild.
Tyronn Lue immortalized on a can.
On a can.
I mean, I don't know if that's the worst thing on this can. Got the Liberty Bell, which was like a fail from the rip.
Right.
Somebody was like, "I'm gonna make this bell," and it's cracked down the middle.
And we don't
Anyway,
celebrate this crack every year.
but I'm gonna give this 3.5. I think I could rock with this. And I would certainly bring it to other events, knowing that like not everybody a heavy drinker.
Right. No,
It's a safe beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Definitely a safe
if
beer.
K Sparks is at the function, we got Who You With from Two Local. Thank you, Josh, for the booze. We're gonna jump over to news.
You go ahead.
K
give us
Sparks,
some
if you got
news.
any news for us, let us know. I don't know if you heard anything down to Ben.
The only news that I've heard or seen, I don't know if we're getting into spoiler territory in what we're going to be talking about tonight, but Charlize Theron actually posted a picture of herself as Clea, which I really appreciated because when that happened, I had no idea who that was, and I thought,
Same.
oh, I'm pretty well versed in the comics and the things, and I was like, who is that? Yeah, so I appreciated her confirming that for us.
Yeah, we won't talk about it right now just because we do try to keep it spoiler free until we say spoilers. Spoiler alert. But yeah, a few things I have. I have Westworld season 4 premieres on HBO on June 26th, which I'm excited for.
Of this year?
Of this year.
Wow.
Teaser trailer actually got released, so I'm excited for that. Link will be in the description. Gotham Knights actually dropped a trailer. And for those who don't know what Gotham Knights is, it is a multiplayer Bat Family video game. Not Batman, but Bat Family. So you're getting Red Hood, Nightwing, Robin,
Batgirl.
and Batgirl. I'm excited to see how that plays out because it's open world and multiplayer.
Nice.
But it's not Rocksteady. Ugh, I bit the side of my cheek being so upset about it. It's not Rocksteady that's doing this. But for those who want details about the game, the Court of Owls is the main antagonist for the game. Obviously, Bruce is either missing or dead. I don't know how they're playing this. But, yeah, the trailer is out. So if you want to see some gameplay, I have my own opinions about that. But that doesn't really happen. You don't have to talk about that here. Because it looks
It's
a
really
little
interesting
wonky.
to have a Court of Owls game and no Batman. That's an interesting choice, to say the least.
I would, yeah. But maybe, they're the reason why he's not there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm gonna wait because for this part of news because I feel like it's news to me, but not news to me because I was kind of already feeling it. So I'm gonna wait because it's probably related to the review that we'll be doing. Jayhawk, you got any news?
The biggest news that I can think of, there's nothing like really huge happening, at least that I saw, but was Batman Unburied has started.
It has.
I
He's
believe
actually
they
pretty
have
good.
At least 2 episodes out at the time of this recording.
I can
They
tell
definitely
you
have the first episode out, but
The
I'm
first
pretty
2
sure
episodes
that they have,
I've listened to, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the first 2 episodes. So that's out. So that's cool. That's really all I got. If you're not watching Spy Family,
what are you doing?
get on it,
Oh, I need
man.
to get
What are
into
you
that.
doing?
It's one of the best wholesome animes out here.
Do you know what's crazy? I don't know how wholesome it is when there's scenes that have gore, but it's so mild.
It's very like they do it so tastefully. I think
I'll
that
agree with you there. It's tasteful.
it's a pretty wholesome anime. You get a very wide spectrum of genres. I feel like it almost seems like slice of life. It almost seems like not shonen, but like the whole like assassination spy thing. It almost seems like that you get like that school aspect. I won't say high school because the character is in, I want to say, elementary.
Yep.
Maybe.
She's
So
she's 11, so I think it's like either elementary or middle school.
yeah. So like, but it's really cool, and I from what I'm hearing, it's actually very well. It's a very good adaptation of the manga, so that's cool.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. From like
Same.
multiple perspectives, just like being a dad, and then also liking the tension that it's bringing to the show, but not like it doesn't feel tense, but at the same time you're kind of just like, oh, this is really
The
weird.
stakes aren't high. They're not like super high stakes, but the way
Yes.
that they are worried about it and execute getting over the obstacles is
Right.
very well done.
Just to double back real quick, Batman Unhinged has 4 episodes out. 2 episodes dropped today.
Nice.
Oh.
I believe they do weekly drops, and they're on Tuesdays. So
Where can we find that at?
Spotify?
Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google
Anywhere you
Podcasts,
can listen to podcasts. Yeah.
the same places you can find the Blerd Bar
There you go.
is where you can find it.
Yes, sir.
Shameless plug. That's how we want to do it.
Absolutely. The only other bit of news that I have, I don't know if you gentlemen have talked about this already, but Green Lantern, Beware My Power. That trailer came out.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that to see Jon Stewart finally get his own feature, animated or otherwise. DC animation has been great for a long time, although they've kind of had their ups and downs recently. However,
Justice, we're looking at you.
yeah, yeah. So so I'm really excited about that. I'm really hoping that they dig into his past as like an architect as well as his soldier past, because I think that having that architect kind of background always made him a person whose constructs were much more interesting than, let's just say, like a fist or like a hand or something like that. It always made him a little bit more.
Yeah, my man was making trains and stuff. It was
Yeah.
wild. And that's supposed to release July 26th of this year. So
Yep.
keep an eye out for that. Let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
It's
Jump
the
right
review
into it.
portion. And we are here to talk about Marvel's Doctor Strange mom. No, it's not his mom. But Multiverse of Madness.
There's a mom in it.
There's a mom in it. And the acronym for Multiverse of Madness is also a mom. That's what I was going for.
Doctor Strange's mom. That's the title of this
Doctor
episode.
Strange. First, we're going to do our spoiler-free review, where we just give our numbers out of 5 on how we rate. 5 is going to be best you've ever seen. 1 is like Daredevil, Ben Affleck. So, with K Sparks, you being our guest here.
That was a very subjective thing, Justin. Wow.
This is my show. I'm going to say what I want.
Real quick, Ken,
Yeah.
what is your favorite drink? Because we like to give our guests a guest chalice, if you will, or a guest symbol. So, what is your favorite drink?
Let me tell you, it's serious. It's that Calypso Seagrams that I mentioned earlier.
You gotta find. You have to find a chalice. That isn't,
I gotta find Calypso. I gotta find that Calypso.
Yeah, just
Yep.
make sure you don't put Seagrams on it, because we don't want no issues from them.
Nope.
No, that's fine. That's just like free promotion. That'll be fine.
Sure. Okay. K Sparks about to get us canceled. So out of 5, Ken,
How
how you feeling, man?
do you get?
I've seen it 3 times.
Okay.
Wow.
He got time.
That AMC Stubs free promotion. You can go see it as many times as you want. Feel no guilt about it. So I've seen it 3 times. The first time I saw it wasn't amazing because I missed the first scene. But the subsequent 2 times, I actually had a really different opinion on it. So let me cut you to chase. I want to give this movie a 3, somewhere between a solid 3 to a 3.5. If I'm straddling the fence that way, I'm going to go 3.25 if that's okay. So yeah, I'm just going to hit that right in the middle because it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's nowhere near the best thing I've ever seen. It's solid.
Cool.
Jayhawk?
I am going to be much like Mr. Sparks, and I'm gonna say it is a 3 out of 5. We can get into it as we go along, but it is. We can get into it, but I'm just gonna.
We
I'm
got
gonna
time.
say 3 out of
We got
5.
time. And it sounds like we came and already compared notes before pressing record here, but I'm going to go on the higher end of 3 and say 3.5.
Okay.
That's I'm being honest, and we'll talk about why.
I was very surprised by that.
Yeah, so was I. Because from the post, it sounded like, whew.
See, but here's what I did. I buried the lead. I said we synced it. That was it. I ain't say nothing else. Normally, if I'm walking out of a Marvel movie, people are waiting for me to be like, would recommend, would not recommend. I was just like, we synced it. I ain't even gonna really tell you how I feel until we get here. Yeah, it was a fun movie, but we'll break it down.
Spoilers ahead.
Spoilers ahead. So if you have not yet seen the movie, but you wanted to get up to this part where we give you our opinions on how, spoilers. Just be ready for it. If you
Just be ready.
If you get upset that we gave you spoilers after this, we told you right now. Spoilers.
You heard what we said. We said spoilers.
Now,
Ken, go ahead.
Hold on.
Oh, what were you about to say?
Because Ken is also comic book. We versed in this. I want to know. Josh is probably the least comic book versed in this.
Okay.
So,
by far.
So if you want to go ahead first, Jayhawk, and tell us how you feel, and then we go from there.
We can. That's fine. And then I would say after me, Ken.
Yeah.
Only
I'm going. You know me. I'm gonna go last.
I would love for our guests to go first, but I understand that reasoning. So I wrote some notes.
I got notes as well. Ken saw it 3 times, so he, I don't know if he has notes.
Right.
He might just have memories.
It's all like in his head. Yeah.
As long as we don't give him no seagulls, we fine.
So I started writing not the team up that I thought this movie was going to be about. Wanda being the villain is interesting. They know Spider-Man, but not Peter Parker, because they never call him Peter Parker. So I was like, continuity, cool. The wizards were whack. This was at the fort, and sure, sure. We so I guess I have to preface or asterisk this with, we know the top 2 wizards, right? We see them, like we see Doctor Strange, we see Wong, and they're like, if they need help, if they got double teamed, then like it's really like, it should be like a big issue. But the drop off, I feel like for like everybody else, it just felt like, I don't know, it felt like a bunch of cannon fodder. Granted, they are going up against the Scarlet Witch, right? So like maybe like scale it up a bit or scale it down.
Most powerful Marvel characters of all time.
Right. Yeah. So it is what it is. but like I don't know, it definitely didn't showcase them in the best light, I'll say. um there was a point where Wanda pretty much almost like broke the fourth wall and like looked directly at the camera.
Hmm.
Really creepy, really cool.
Yeah.
um
Almost, she definitely did it.
I mean,
She she
it was
definitely
a
did
mo
it.
I looked at.
it was a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looked at all
It
of
was
us
a
in
moment.
our
I was
souls.
like, yeah, I was like, I am creeped out, but I'm here for it. Like, choke me, Zaddy. Anywho,
No,
but
this is the wrong podcast. Keep going.
there's almost no surprise to Marvel movies anymore.
Mm.
Almost. Um, do I talk about it? Okay, no, I don't. So I will say, between the trailers and people's YouTube accounts, like I knew that the Illuminati would be there.
Mm.
I was pretty sure that Professor X was going to be there. Who I was surprised about was John Krasinski,
Yep.
but at the same
Yeah.
time, like I guess, and maybe comic book people can speak to this more than I can. I guess where else would he be? Because we know that there is a Fantastic Four movie in the works. Like we know it's down the pipeline.
Right.
So like, it's gonna be very hard, I think, moving forward. And this is like one of my last I have this in my last note, so I'll just wait for that. The Illuminati fight was almost cool. And I say almost because Wanda wrecked these people. She did not come here to play games. Like the first two, who like we didn't even get to like really see their power. John Krasinski was just like, Christmas ribbons.
They turned my man into ramen noodles so fast.
Yo, that disrespectful. Black Bolt, that was wild.
Yo,
What mouth?
I did not see that coming.
Me either.
My man's skull caved in. Like I was like, what rating is this?
Right.
That was so I get into that. But like that was wild. Miss like that fight, like it was cool because it just showed that, even WandaVision, she don't gotta be in no like power suit. She can show up after picking up her kids from soccer.
Some mom
and
jeans.
still
Yeah. Barefoot
just
too.
like just wreck everything. So that was like it was I wish I would have seen more of a I guess like a give and take, or like her actually like not struggle, but like it didn't seem like it was like, oh no, Wanda's gonna win this one. She's the favorite. Once again, that probably speaks to her being the most powerful character in Marvel history, or Marvel whatever.
Let me write that note down because I got notes about what you just said. But
Okay.
Yep.
This movie kind of played like a horror, which was pretty interesting.
that was intentional.
Yeah, no, I saw that after I watched it. I watched some YouTube videos. But during the movie, when I was typing this, I was like, kind of plays like a horror. This is like really cool. This is different, different take. The anime music fight between the two strangers.
That was
That was a choice. And that's the thing. If this was an anime,
Really quick, I just got to interject here because this is not my review. This is my wife's review. She said that's where some writer, up until that point, did a really good job of horror, and he was just kind of like either let go, and somebody was like, "Well, we got 20 minutes here."
yeah.
Daryl Johnson was like, "I got an idea."
what about my son watches his anime, and what if we do this? And that's the thing. If this was an anime, then there's that suspension of belief and like that acceptance of like, okay, two characters fighting with music. I can get down with this. Like, is it ridiculous? Sure, but it makes sense in this grand scheme.
I blame, and I'll let you get back to your review. I blame Danny Elfman. and I'll explain why later. But
Mm.
Okay.
Danny Elfman, being who he is and has been for music, probably was like, Sam, I got this great idea. And Sam was kind of like, I've already had enough fun with Marvel, and they probably shouldn't have given me a movie anyway. So sure. But
Let's do it. Why
yeah, right.
not? And then I guess I'm at like the end of the movie. Maybe. Who's the purple lady? Charlize Theron. And then I like didn't Google it, but I think I watched some video and it's like Clea. So I know her name's Clea. I think she ends up being his wife in the comics. But her in her grand how she fits into the grand scheme of things, or how she will fit into the grand scheme of things, I don't know.
So awful.
I prefer
Not to
not
know.
to know much.
I won't
Give
ruin.
me,
I
like-
won't do that to you on this episode. But I do
Give
have to
me
clarify
tidbits.
for people who are watching the review who she is.
That's real.
So
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be like on like our TikTok or
maybe we'll see.
whatever's.
Uh,
Follow us on all accounts at the Instagrams and the Facebooks and
one day
the
TikTok. We'll see.
TikToks and the what's the other one?
Twitter.
Instagram, Facebook,
Do the kids still do the Snapchats?
Snap. Well,
We're
kids
not on
might,
there.
We don't.
Right. We need to hire a person for that.
Right. All right. I got two more, and then I'm done. Last thing. I hope Wanda didn't actually kill herself. I think she would be a dope villain or anti-hero to always be like just have lurking around. Just on the strength of like how dumb powerful she is. I think it would be dope just to have her be doing her own thing and she comes and goes as a foil or as a whatever, like, but she's too cool of a person to just kill herself in a temple, in my
She
opinion.
didn't kill herself.
She ain't dead.
And then the last thing is, it feels like, this is my opinion, it feels like we're waiting for the big reveal of what this all means, of this all being the multiverse, what this all means, and not able to enjoy the journey as we did in Infinity War and Endgame. Are they slowly but surely using building blocks to create a tall cathedral masterpiece? Like, you can liken that to, like, the cherry on the top was, what's his name? Not Kurt Angle, but Captain America. Being like...
Wait.
It can next. Don't worry about it.
Captain America. Okay.
Captain America, Kurt Angle, they're a thing. They're just like fusion high. Is it like that moment where he goes Avengers and like does the thing and like grabs Thor's hammer and is like assemble and like the crowd goes wild? Like, are they building up to like a moment like that? I don't know, but it's hard to tell. Oh yeah, I don't know, but I feel like I'm hearing the word mediocre more often in discussions of the newest Marvel visual media, whether that be TV or their movies. It's just like, and this, I think this is the thing that we've been talking about in the past more and more often, where it's like, it's good for a Marvel movie, but like now Marvel has set the bar in such a way that their mediocre stuff is almost akin to like 90s, early or late 90s, early 2000s superhero movies. Like the first Spider-Man trilogy comes to mind, where it's like, it was cool for its time. We've already talked about it on If I'm Bugging, and you watched it and you agreed. So
I'm still saying watch your mouth.
Correct.
Okay.
But like it's gotten to that point where the bar is so high. Are they putting in the same effort with everything? And it's understandable that they probably can't because energy, money. But like you're also the house of mouse, so you got
I got the
money.
cash. Yeah.
Like, so yeah, that's just like, I feel like each movie that doesn't feature Kang, because we know that Kang is a thing now.
Yeah.
It's like, when can we get to like, when does this really pop off? What are we building to? Like, what are we, when are the stakes high enough that I care? And this is just not exposition. because 2 hours, 3 movies at 2 hours, is a lot of exposition, right? To get to like an Avengers movie that's like, okay, now I'm here for this. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and the crazy
that,
part is
I
they're
have
not doing
thoughts on
any
that.
more Avenger movies. So
say that again.
they're not doing any more Avenger movies,
Oh, mm.
at
I
least
have
for this
thoughts on
phase.
that as well. Yes, I have a lot of thoughts on what you said, J Hog, especially in regards to your last point. And I don't know if you're done, but I can systematically get to.
I'm
Yeah.
done. Go ahead. You're
So
free.
it turns out that I didn't necessarily like take notes, but what I did do was make a post in a group that I'm in, which will qualify as my notes. So essentially, I'll go down them one by one, and then we'll definitely. I don't know if you want to save time at the end to talk about the grander MCU what we're doing, but I'll just go through my my mom notes first. All right, so overall thoughts after the second time I did see this movie, I did enjoy it. One of the biggest things for me to get used to, and I did miss like the first scene of the entire movie when I saw it the first time. So I was kind of disoriented coming into it. When I got there, I was Stephen Strange was at the wedding, and then they went off and fought the Shumagorath or the monster and what have you. And I was kind of like, okay, what's going on here?
You
So
said Shuma. You're not legally. You can't say that.
oh, that's right, because somebody else owns it. Well, I mean, they can't sue us, so or
Right.
yeah, but
Was it? It's supposed to be Garatantos or something like that, right?
all
But
sounds
anyway,
like. So yeah, so I was a little disoriented the first time I saw it. The second time I saw it, I enjoyed it a lot more. However, I will say once I got
Gargantos. Sorry,
settled, Gargantos.
Gargantos. Yeah,
Well,
legally.
once I got settled into the first one, I was really thrown off by Raimi's directing because it was the quick cuts and the zooming, and I was like, okay, what are we doing here? Go ahead, Jay.
Real quick,
Yeah.
funny thing. Laura said, she was like, she said I don't like it when the director focuses in on like the eye or like a close up of the face
Hmm.
because you can't really see the entirety of like the situation and like what's going on and like how they're really like moving, acting, portraying
Yeah.
like you can't she doesn't feel like the full emotion. So it's interesting that you say that.
Yeah,
So
that's very similar, but in a different way to how I feel about a bunch of quick cuts and like fights. It's like, yo, show me the action. That's why I love Shang-Chi so much. Shang-Chi so much. Raimi's directing really threw me off the entire movie to the point where by the end I was annoyed, especially with his little music cues. I was like, okay, we gotta relax. The Marvel formula. I know people are all like down on the Marvel formula. Oh, do something different. The Marvel formula is the Marvel formula because it works, and that's what I was saying the first time I saw it. The second time I saw it, I was like, oh, I'm actually really enjoying this. So I was enjoying it for two reasons. One, because I was used to, I came in knowing what to expect from a directorial standpoint, and also all the hype of all the different things that people were talking about was tempered down because I walked into the film knowing exactly what to expect. And that's a whole nother discussion, which we'll probably have in during this discussion. But
sounds like you've been listening to the Blerd bar.
the Blerd bar is highly recommended. So I'll move on to my next point, which is more of the story beats. Didn't we just do this? And what I mean by that is WandaVision. Didn't we just go through Wanda having some like grief thing where she is manipulating, controlling everything around her, and like literally maybe not as villainous as it was portrayed in WandaVision, but she went through the grief. I thought lessons were learned. I thought she came to the understanding that she can't just change and force what she wants into this world. But when we come into this movie, literally, I want to say 15, 20 minutes in, she's like, I didn't learn nothing from Westview. I want to go get my children. And the whole thing about WandaVision was her about her. I see you right there. Go ahead, Dan.
Real quick, the post credit scene, I believe, of the end of WandaVision
With the Darkhold.
does with the Darkhold, she does hear the boys' voices,
I know,
and
and
that's what brings it back.
I get that, but as a story choice, as right, like, so I understand the mechanics of how we got here. It's why did we go here? Why was this the direction that we went? Like J Hawk was talking, I thought it was going to be more of a buddy cop superhero magic adventure through the multiverse. Now, while Elizabeth Olsen's performance was amazing, and like it was, she was creepy as hell when she crawled through that gong. I was legitimately like, oh, this is weird. This like very what's that movie? The Ring, very The Ring, where she's crawling through the TV and everything, and she's all cut up. All that looked beautiful, all of it worked well, but I was still kind of taken aback by the fact that we literally were just here with her in WandaVision, and we thought that she grew and stuff like that. So I understand the mechanism of the Darkhold, but why Feige, why the writers, why Raimi would go back to that well again for another 2-hour movie it felt like episode 10 of WandaVision. At the same time, it was like, but we're in the Doctor Strange movie. So it's a cool villain, and outside of the grander MCU, I actually think it's a really cool movie. But seeing it from the perspective that we got, I was like, okay, what are we doing here? Next note was fan service is great when it actually means something. So when we got to Illuminati, when John Krasinski, this was an embarrassing moment for me. John Krasinski shows up. Oh my God! Literally, foot up. I screamed. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is not my greatest moment. I didn't even hear most of what he said that the first time. I was just looking at John and saying, oh my God, it's Jim. Oh my God. So it's great.
We actually saw Jim in WandaVision as well. So,
we did.
Did we?
Yeah, Agent
Jim.
Yeah, Agent Jim. Asian Jim, yep. So yeah, when we
you made it worse. You need to leave.
So when we get to that, we see Black Bolt, we see Mordo, who's a hater of all haters. We see Professor X and who
in the '90s chair.
Yeah, and the '90s chair, which I had spoiled for me, unfortunately,
and the '90s, the X-Men '97 theme song.
Yeah,
we got a snippet of that.
Yep, I heard that.
Not '92, '97. Yep. I'm so excited about that. But I was fanboying a lot, so don't worry.
I can't wait until they put that cartoon out when they do the continuation. But yeah, so we see all these. Oh, Captain Carter, and so we see all these characters, and I'm like, this is great. It's fun and stuff like that. But to me, to kill them like almost immediately after that, really felt like a waste. I was really like, okay, good, Dan.
Only because I feel like if I double back to these when it's my turn, it'll feel like the weight will be lost to it. So I'm trying to. Their deaths being so inconsequential is to the fact that they're not the main universe.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I was
they don't freaking matter.
Yeah.
But that's
838.
As soon as I get to as soon as I talk about the multiverse stuff, consequences just dissipate. So when we get there, we get there.
I'll tell you why I didn't love that choice for narratively for the story and for Wanda as well, which is it's a little nitpicky, but at the same time, whenever she's fighting Strange or anyone else at Carmitage, she's not really killing people. She's just knocking people out. But when she gets to Illuminati, she just
one dude she erased
on a murder spree. She did erase that dude. Yeah, that is true.
And then that other lady, she just like set on fire.
Who?
The lady when she tried to like.
That wasn't her. She stabbed.
She stabbed the Darkhold. Yeah, that wasn't on her.
Games. She won stupid
Right.
prizes.
Yeah.
She
So
definitely did. She was like, It was
yeah.
had
So
the wrong knife.
when she killed all of them, I was upset initially. But to your point, Jayhawk and Dan, I kind of was like, but you know what? They don't matter. We'll see them later and what have you. I think visually, just seeing them was a huge high, and then us losing them was a huge low. Even though it was kind of cool. So also, my second part of my issue with that was you've made Wanda a full out villain. Like redemption is totally possible because we've seen redemption of characters who have done horrible things, but it's very hard to like you turned Mr. Fantastic into string cheese and popped his brain. Like we saw you do that. I was there. So a lot of that kind of like
Like, we can see you, right?
right. So yeah, so a lot of that stuff initially was really it was really like a head scratching moment for me, as far as like narratively. But on seeing it a second time and a third time, I really got over that stuff. But so the rest of the movie, I thoroughly enjoyed on my second time watching it. I don't think for me that it ranks. It's nowhere near a top 10, but it's also nowhere near like a bottom at all. That's reserved for the Eternals and
And
stuff
Thor
like that.
2.
And Thor 2 and Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 and so on and so forth.
Civil War. We'll
Whoa!
talk about that later. We not
Hold
That's not
on
this
now.
podcast. That's not this episode.
We
We're not
we
gonna
gonna
talk
have
about
to
that.
talk about that later.
Yeah. You got
Let
my
me-
number. I'll message you. We'll talk about it.
But yeah, so let me also mention this. It was awesome to see America Chavez. Like she was dope. I like the way that she was portrayed. I like the fact that Marvel leaned into the comic bookiness of it, where usually whenever you see someone using their powers, it's not as fantastical as
realistic
it could
version.
be. Her punching stars in the middle of the fabric of the universe is a very comic booky thing, and I was really happy that they really leaned into it. Because any other person, they would have just made a circle. They would just been like, "Oh, it's a portal. We didn't want to go too." So I'm glad that they leaned into it and stuff like that. But yeah, so for the rest of it, I'll save my time because I know I've been speaking for a while. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it the second and third time I saw it. I still have issues with the Wanda of it all. Like, why are we rehashing this lesson in this storyline? And yeah, she's definitely not dead. Like when the thing crushes her, you see like a red flash. She's out of there. She dipped off. And also, if you don't see them like die, like they're
Right,
probably alive.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Great.
To your point,
Oh, go ahead.
real quick, I I enjoyed America Chavez.
Mhm.
I hope that we do see more of her
Oh, yeah.
because not for nothing. Like, Laura was like, I didn't really like. I don't know if I believed her, in her acting ability. And I was like, I mean, she did well. She's also
Yeah.
on the stage with Benedict Cumberbatch and Elizabeth Olsen. So, like,
And straight up
there's
16.
levels. Like,
Yeah.
there's levels to this.
Mhm.
But also, because she is so young, it would be dope to see her grow as a character,
Right.
and a person and an actor, like all those things. Like, so I do hope that we get more of her. I don't know how pivotal she is
Mhm.
in the rest of the or not even MCU, but like the comics in general. But she was definitely I'm not gonna say a plot device, but like
mean, she
she was a
Yes.
moving trophy. Like,
He was a plot,
Yeah.
literally a
so
plot device.
Yeah.
yeah,
She
so
took them from one
it was
place to the
okay,
next.
but
Yeah.
I would love to see her stand in her own in the
Yeah, I
future.
think like and to that point, I think she's going to be integral to the story as we go forward, especially as I don't think we're done with the multiverse after this movie at all. And I think she's going to be integral. And the fact that at the end of the movie, they have her training at Karmatage learning magic. I think the next time we see her, she's going to be a badass. I think she's going to be a really formidable hero after like a few years. And I wouldn't be surprised if they announce an American Chavez Disney Plus show or a movie, because I actually believe that actress could carry a movie by herself. But more than likely, they'll explore her in a Disney Plus show, I think.
I I see your argument, and I raised you. No. Here's how I want to. Here's how I want to do this. The first thing I'll do is I'll address America Chavez. I think her character is great, and the amount that we see her is enough. Probably a little bit too much, at least in the comic books. One, anytime she's around, what happens is she's either OP because of multiversal travel, which her and like maybe 3 other people can do. When do you need that? When do you need that for a 616 story to keep going to different multiverses?
Maybe a Secret Wars. I don't know.
Secret. You jumping the gun, man. Let me get there. Let me build up to it first.
My bad. I'm a rookie.
I'm trying to build the story, the tension, and my man was like, I'm a Marvel this. Anyway, Secret Wars, definitely she will be there. That's the same reason why we're getting movies like Fantastic Four. That's the same reason why Wanda's not dead. That's why Loki is getting season 2. That's why Quantumania is happening.
Yeah.
Because all of these things tie into Secret Wars. It's also the same reason why we'll get an incursion that brings in the X-Men. And because there's no way that the X-Men are existing in the main universe right now and just talking about, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way Thanos like came to Earth and the X-Men were just kind of like, we gotta get these classes, gotta get these final credits before we can go fight crime.
So for the Homo sapiens.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how they explain what Professor X and them were doing.
Yeah. I don't think they exist in this universe. That's my theory. I don't think that the X-Men exist. Or if they do, it only occurred after the Eternals did some wonky thing.
I have a lot of thoughts on that, but go.
Yeah. Because this was not the main universe, those deaths don't matter. I want to just reiterate that. I would even say the casting doesn't matter. We got John Krasinski for one. You know what I'm saying? We've seen Charles before. Don't mean we're gonna see Charles again by the time it comes back around.
Patrick Stewart,
at least Patrick Stewart. On top of the fact that whatever studio they had him in, it was cold. My man's nipples was down to his belly button, and it was cold. You ain't give my man an undershirt. Don't treat Patrick Stewart like that. Don't ever do that again. That's how I feel. It was a side note. It lingered with me after I reviewed the whole movie in my head again. I was like, they ain't give my man an undershirt. They just like out here burlesque, and it is what it was.
I mean, the X-Men have worn some pretty tight stuff over the years. So
I know, but Charles Xavier normally got like a coat on top of the turtleneck, and the pants was high waisted, and I was like, there's no way he's getting Wanda out of that little bunker. I was like, he's too old. Don't do that.
I'm gonna tell you one thing. I love seeing the yellow chair. That chair was big as hell. That was a big chair.
That chair is not functional as a concept anymore.
It doesn't fit down those hallways, I'm sure.
That's why he rolled in last.
That thing was up
you know how many times you guys keep saying sorry, excuse me to somebody, rolling it past them like that? I think we've seen enough Captain Britain. I don't think we need to see Peggy anymore. That's an opinion of mine. I don't know what y'all want me to say. Like, we get it. She's a part of the multiverse. The concept that what if, and a lot of this tied into what if. I think the third act of this movie was done poorly. It was rushed. The pacing just got thrown out of the window. All of a sudden, I don't even know. Like Doctor Strange stopped making. Doctor Strange does not make sense as a character in general because he sees what no one else sees as far as magic is concerned. He holds back the veil for everybody else so they don't see magic. But then he's like, Christine, I need you to, keep me safe because they're going to
Yeah.
get me for trespassing. And I was like, you never set this up before.
Right.
I understand this is a thing that you do as a magician, but go ahead.
So one thing that came out was that there's like 30 more minutes to this movie. And I think
Probably.
one of the things that happened was that got cut because when Christine was like, when she grabbed the fire pit and she said his name, she sounded like she was used to it. And we never had an experience where she had
I'm
gotten
like,
used to it.
she's out here. She know how to use magic all of a
Right.
sudden. But
Well,
you're
this was
Stephen dead.
also this was 838 Christine. So
Valid.
True. But there's something
to
about
the
that
same
narrative structure that you have to like set that up no matter who that is.
Yeah.
I feel like to the same way that there are no consequences with multiverse, there is also infinite abilities with multiverse
There's the infinite
that you
jumping
can
of
just
sharks.
be like, how does she know that? Multiverse.
Right.
Like, oh, how do you know how to do that? Multiverse. Like Doctor Strange does what?
It's the Rick
Multiverse.
Sanchez of it all. Don't overthink
Mhm.
it. And I get that. Um, I appreciated most of the Easter eggs and callbacks in this movie.
Mm.
I as a person who has read probably too much, um, I didn't squeal. My first squeal in the movie didn't happen when John Krasinski showed up. It I squealed when they were going through the montage of multiverses and they show the living tribunal. I was like, that's where I want this to go.
Yeah.
This is the fight that I want to see. This is where I want to see America Chavez shine. Like I want an ultimate storyline, like ultimates. That would be Black Panther, Captain Marvel. You could take Reed Richards. You might even get Blue Marvel to show up, and like they fight straight up metaphors, like eternity and
Hmm.
living tribunal. Like that's where America Chavez shines as a character because she's so OP fighting anybody else. Like she literally can only fight metaphor after that because she could just do all these other things. So when you saw the living tribunal face, I was like, oh! Everybody else is like dead silent, like, shh, what are you
Right.
doing? I was like,
Is that? But do you think that's a reason why they made and picked someone so young, so that to Ken's point, the next time we see her, she's comfortable with her power, she knows what to do,
right,
Hmm.
and then the time that we see her after that, now it's like, oh, we're fighting the living tribunal, and like
right.
she's holding her own. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. I think she's good in doses. Unfortunately, um, she's also a character that like is, and I want to word this properly, but she's one of the few main queer characters of the multi
Hmm.
Marvel that like gets highlighted enough.
Hmm.
Between Billy, who's Wanda's son, um, America Chavez, you have Richter. Most of the X-Men you could probably just interchange all of them because they love. Um,
Yeah.
but um, she's like one of the faces when you think of
Hmm.
like queer character or queer representation in Marvel. And so I feel like we'll probably see more of her because of that, just so that way people don't feel cheated because a lot of people probably felt cheated in this movie thinking that they were going to get that. Other than her
Hmm.
backstory for her mom, her mom's. Um, I think they wanted to see that in that character and didn't
Hmm.
get that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
um,
that's not this movie. That's
that
that's
wasn't this
her.
movie.
That's her movie, right?
Right.
However, the argument will stand that when is it going to be that movie, right?
Her movie.
When is it going to
I
be?
think
When is it going to be that movie that they don't have to, where representation for those specific groups feel represented? And I think the anticipation after a while builds to a point where then you're no longer interested, or you just feel like it's getting canned because
It
of
should have happened a long time ago.
Disney or
Yeah.
because of Marvel or the
I was
big
about to
machine.
say, like, I even from the arc that we just imagined for her of like her, like she gets her own movie,
Right.
right, where she comes into her own or whatever. We see her story.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's probably the next her next thing is probably with Kang or the Secret Wars thing, and then if you want to do it, her last movie will probably be the Living Tribunal. So like you get 3 movies. The first 2 are probably you're probably going to see that in some way. Definitely, I would think in her movie where it's focusing on her. The one with Secret Wars,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
that's probably like her. Sorry, not for nothing, but it's probably going to be like her telling her significant other like, "Oh, I gotta go do this thing," and her significant other is either in the
Have you
know
read the comic?
or like
Because it sounds
she's
like you read the
keeping it
comic
from
books.
her. Which, well, no, I'm just plot devices. So
Right.
I think she has like 3 more movies where she can be expressed to her full potential, kind of a thing.
Right.
I would like
And
to think so. Go ahead, Ken.
I think to your point, Jayhawk, like that isn't this movie because to put that in this movie would have been to add something that had nothing to do with the plot that's happening here. And I think
Better
from
like
we're
why.
black, we're all about representation. We want that kind of representation for everybody. I do think that it's important for us to have representation that makes sense. In terms of, I'm not. You remember after Endgame, everybody when all the female heroes got together and went to go fight, people were like, "Ugh, cringe!" Like I don't, like yeah, and I was like,
Shout outs to
"Yay!
Jillian and
I'm
the
happy
Blerd
this happened."
chemistry.
You know what I mean? But part of the issue with that is that it felt
Spirit of
forced. It
Jillian
felt natural.
rises.
Yeah. And I think also a big part of representation is normalizing things. So I like me just being here, not that I'm not going to be doing anything as a character, but I just want to see Black Panther do like normal things. Everything doesn't have to be, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, and I'm black, and I'm like, everything doesn't have to be that. He could be putting cream cheese on a bagel. It's like, oh, look, representate. Like, I just want to exist here. It doesn't have to always be a grand statement, but I do understand how, especially when we're talking about like sexual orientations, where a big part of that is the relationships that you have. So, like we were saying, down the line, I think that's going to come up pretty frequently in her own show. You know, it would be as like that happening here would be as actually, you know, I'm just going to stay away from that. So yeah, that yeah.
Good
But
call. Good
good
call.
call. I respect that. So yeah,
Oh,
I'm gonna
I'm
wrap
sorry,
up my
one last
points real
thing.
quick here. Go ahead.
I do want to say that I do think that Marvel is doing a much better job post Endgame of influx in the MCU with a bunch of people of a bunch of different, either influxing new ones or elevating the people of color and people of different lifestyles that weren't there before.
I agree. So real quick, I'm gonna just jump back on the Wanda train. I think it was while it was a plot device of the Darkhold and all of that, I think it was a missed opportunity for future storylines to pick it up and then put it right back down. This still is in the same vein of Marvel's villain problem, where they're only good for one movie and then after that, like, can't talk about that no more. But I
Is
think
that? Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I wonder, is the issue with that because of you know Marvel is under the House of Mouse, and the House of Mouse is about these dollar bills, y'all. And the thing that brings in dollar bills, y'all, is these movies. So it's like we can't we can't have this omega mutant, maybe not, powered person just roaming about, in
Mhm.
the ether. We have to close that chapter because there's a new chapter that we're going to sell to you for IMAX and IMAX 3D, right? Where it's like if you built out your Disney Plus TV series, and this is a shot at Moon Knight and all the other ones that are just six
Watch your mouth.
episodes long.
Watch your
But
mouth.
like, if you build it out so that we get like a full season, like you can still have these characters like be lurking in the shadows because it's like, oh snap, we didn't see them. They might be in season 2. They might be in season 3. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
is I'm wondering is that the issue or the rub with the villain problem that they have because they have this schedule of like the movies that they have to like get out, and there's this bigger thing, right? You have this big bad that we have
Right.
to
Like I feel like
make you focus on.
it's that, but it's also the same thing of people are on contracts, so you can't just
There it
be
is.
like, I'm gonna see you in Captain Marvel 5, and they be like, you ain't talk to my agent, so no,
Right.
you're not gonna see me. You're gonna see Terrence Howard instead, and he gonna have to renegotiate monies, and then you're like, maybe we don't go with Terrence Howard. So
Fair enough.
so I think one, it takes like sometimes up to 3 years for a movie to get done. Right? Like
Yeah.
the machine of MCU and the machine of Disney, like
Mhm.
we don't know until we see a trailer when it comes out, right?
Right.
And sometimes we get the alerts on our phones about like, oh, they just started filming in Vancouver or whatever. But the case might be these people have already been
Oddly
on
specific,
board.
but okay.
Well, they film in Vancouver a lot.
It's always
I said what I
Vancouver
said.
or Atlanta.
Or Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But what we often don't see is how we weren't in the room when it happens, right? So you don't know how long they've been doing table reads or shifting cast in and out. And I think to try to go behind that veil is unnecessary,
Mhm.
and also accept that like these are movies.
Yeah.
This is it's not my comic books exist so that I don't have to worry about continuity,
Right.
and then at the same time still be concerned about continuity for just comic books. Um,
So
I don't think America needs a Disney Plus show. But we'll see based on the success of Miss Marvel or not. For real, I'm hoping it tanks because they didn't go the right way about it. I feel this is Big Dan talking. I feel
Nani?
hold on, let me finish. I think she's a great character for a lot of representation in a lot of people groups.
yeah.
The problem is you get the fan base, the audience, the target audience for this are a bunch of people who have never read the character before this.
Right.
The target audience for this likely will not appreciate it in the same way for it to get more than one season. And this is the argument that we made before. Know your audience. The people who driving this forward are a bunch of at home white guys who buy every piece of media, and if you're not really catering to them, it's a 50-50 chance that it's going to be a great show that never takes off. I'd also argue that they're trying to suppress this whole Inhuman thing. Y'all started it, and now y'all trying to quiet it up again. Like it's a cover up. It's conspiracy on the
When
grandest
the
scale.
Black Bolt in Multiverse of Madness.
I don't even know. Bull. That's why his head collapsed in. They was just like,
Right.
Marvel was really quick to silence him, and he didn't even say no words.
Right.
My man
Not
was
for
about to be like,
nothing.
and she was like, "What
He
now?"
looked close enough as for someone who never watched Inhumans. I was like, oh, I recognize that suit. I know who you supposed to be.
Yeah, but that was him. That was the same guy from the show.
White dude, black.
I
Oh, it
didn't
is the
know- I
same
didn't
dude.
know
Oh,
the
okay.
guy in-
I thought I was being racist.
Yeah.
It was the same guy. The problem is he has what, 3 lines in the show?
I
I
mean,
mean, but
That's
that's
kinda
a
bad.
character thing. He doesn't talk. Like you can't say that. Like, come on.
But no, I mean Black Bolt. I could talk about the Illuminati from this movie and then also Marvel's Illuminati for a long period of time, and where I feel like there were some missteps. I do appreciate the female representation of this Illuminati versus it being the all boys club of the main
Yeah.
continuity.
them niggas was wilding.
I'm glad that there was 2 people in that room that were not men,
Right.
because Doctor Strange might have had the Darkhold and still existed in that universe.
Can I just
Go
real
ahead.
quick?
Yeah.
He confessed, "Hey, I was dream walking. I was wilding out. Look, here's the dark hole. Take that. I don't need it anymore. All right, cool, boy. I appreciate you apologizing and telling us everything that happened. Here's what's going to happen. He's still going to work you, though." I was like, hey, man's confessed. He said, "No mas."
Yeah.
We appreciate your service,
Right.
but
Black Bolt was
go ahead
like
and pack
Control
it in.
Z. My man disappeared. I was like, all right.
You go ahead and clock out, but we appreciate you.
My favorite part was like Charles is sitting there that whole time. Fam, you could have read this man's mind and knew
Right.
whether or not he meant, like, you could have said something. You could have vetted it. Charles was like,
He was definitely like, let's see if you're a good Doctor Strange. Because if you're not, what's about to happen is you about to get blackballed. You about to get yelled at.
yeah. And the crazy part is just like that Black Bolt could just yin yang twins him out of existence, but like, hey, Doctor Strange, let me whisper in it, and then it just be gone. It'd be crazy.
What was interesting to me is that when Doctor Strange is in front of the Illuminati, and this is like I guess this is when multiverse gets really weird. He's talking to Charles, who's a mutant,
Right.
and he's like, "Yo, Wanda's coming here. The Scarlet Witch is coming, and she's like, y'all need to like get ready." And they're like, "We can handle her." And I'm like, "But wait, doesn't Charles and her exist in the same like
Yeah, she was up the street.
like there's
She really was though. She really was up the street.
she was far enough to be like, all
No,
right, let me like
listen.
let me put my kids to sleep.
You
and
know
I'ma go out real quick."
how up the street she was. She showed up barefoot.
Right.
She
Right.
didn't like the Baxter building. She could see from her street and was like, "Say
Yeah.
less."
Right.
Because if I'm
But
dream walking and I'm still physically uncomfortable, I'm putting shoes on.
I'm not
Put
walking
your shoes on.
and
Just some quick
with the
slippers.
shoes on. Right.
I mean, you already got the mom jeans. You know you got slides there.
You know,
Yeah.
shoe size is not a problem here. Y'all the same person.
Right, y'all the same shoe size.
But I found it weird that they did not take Wanda as a
threat.
threat when Charles is like I'm not gonna say the head of the Illuminati, but he had the central position. So
Right.
like
But
I mean something.
He
Like
was waiting
so
for his cue.
right, here's the argument that I'll always make with Charles Xavier. First of all, I believe he's never a superhero. He is always an anti-hero. He is always out for the best interest of mutants and people simultaneously, just to make himself feel better. So he's not mentally scanning the planet for ill intent, which he is physically capable of doing and operating at the same time.
Right.
My man don't just be like, anybody got negative thoughts? Shut it down. So by the time he gets any flack his way, half the time he's already like done. He's already beaten. So
Hashtag
someone had said something about Wanda, and I feel like I wanted to speak on it.
I said something about Wanda.
Right. But Wanda's infatuation with being a mother and having a family
Hmm.
is her whole arc. That's her
Yeah.
character arc from beginning to end. If you go back to the 70s when she made the little boys and was Vision, and then they was like, Wanda, you gotta chill. They not real. She was like, I'm upset. And then they like wiped her memory from it. But because she's a chaos, being, she was like, memories came back. I want a family again. Vision was like, you need to chill with this. Stop
Right.
it. She was like, I can make you real. And he was like, but I am real. She was like, no, I can give you, the things that make you real.
I can make you work.
I can make you feel good.
You better
And
watch me.
right. And then he was
Look
like,
at my eyes.
right.
Roll them. What I do?
so then he's like, you need to chill or I'm leaving. He leaves. She's like, I'm mad. Avengers fight her again. This is all she does.
Yep.
Up until I would argue up until last year when she like apologized. And who knows what happens after that. Um she fought so hard to make those boys real that now they are.
They just walking around.
And they just
Kind
out here, they out here walking around, they
of.
married. One's a
Yep.
mutant, one's not. How did that work? But then you find out you're not mutant, and Disney
Sounds like a lot.
Disney needs to go back to the Marvel camp and identify what is and what isn't canon. And because everything that happens in the MCU, there's going to be a lot of the fan base who goes back to the Marvel comic books and just like, wait, what?
Especially with Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's going to, the problem is you're doing all this to keep the sales kind of in house and rotate all of this stuff, and then when you finally get in, you're like, I don't like that. I don't like none of this. So,
I
go ahead.
This is my last thing because I know
We are nearing the mark.
We're coming to the end of the episode.
Mhm.
I remember one person, I forget who, I don't know if it was a guest on our show or whatever. I think it was though. It might have even been Kaiju Kent, but like the there is comic book canon,
Mm-hmm.
and then there is what the MCU is,
Right.
and like because it's an adaptation,
Yep.
does that give them the creative freedom to tweak some things where it's like, oh no, this isn't like this these are not your comics,
Right.
but we've taken the grand source material of your comics to create, like, you know what I mean, like
Right.
it doesn't have to translate one to one.
Yeah.
It's like a
Like, can we do
deconstructed
something
Big
different?
Mac, which is
And
what,
Mm-hmm.
it's
and I don't know if
croutons.
that's like, I think they are always towing that line, and
Mm-hmm.
because of fans and fans are the ones who are paying the paying the movie prices or whatever. But like, I think that's an interesting and also kind of scary place to be for the House of Mouse, where it's like, how far do we lean into it? When do we
Right.
switch out?
Mm.
That kind of thing.
There's a
Can
lot of adult themes that would never make it onto a movie screen.
Oh well,
Absolutely.
that's because you're the House of Mouse and not HBO Max.
Right, but even then, like, they had the DC and still failed. But that's a conversation for another day.
Mhm.
Um,
I,
go ahead.
yeah. So I think, like, to answer your question, they have done a really good job at kind of towing that line, as you mentioned. One of the biggest things about here's a gripe I have with the movie that's going to lead into the point. When they named, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, if they
I already know what you're
named,
about to say.
yeah, the fact that they named the universe 616, I
I
was
had a
like,
whole fit in the movie theater.
why
I had
would
a
you
whole
do that?
fit.
Why would you do that? The reason is because for years, literally, I've been talking to our very purist friends about, look, man, the MCU is not the 616. It's just inspiration. It's its own thing. And I don't know what number it is, but we can't expect them to translate things like directly because it's its own thing. And to be frank with you, just like the Killing Joke movie that came out, sometimes the way it's written in a comic book does not translate well to
Oh, it does not.
a
You would
different
not be
medium.
able to get away with that.
Right. So I think one of the biggest things that they've done well is they've injected the spirit of what the story was into the movie. So, for example, like Infinity War, is the story Infinity Gauntlet, and it's nothing like nothing happens the same between the book and the movie except for the snap. That's literally it,
Right.
except for the fact that we all know, like, okay, this story comes from this, and we understand. It's kind of like the same spirit of it. I think the biggest departure, as Dan mentioned, is probably going to be Miss Marvel, and that's where a lot of the fans like myself who don't take the translations as seriously, the different translations as seriously, the wrong way, because it would be akin to injecting the spirit is one thing. Having Spider-Man be a taxi driver who doesn't swing and drives from place to place would be the worst kind of translation, and that's essentially what they're doing with Miss Marvel by changing her powers. And the explanation doesn't make sense, and every explanation I've heard doesn't make sense. So this is the first time that they're going into this situation where it's like, why did you change that? Okay, I
Right.
heard why you changed it. That still makes zero sense. So yeah, so I think that they've done a good job up until what we're going to see next month, actually.
So is that so? Does Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, mark the beginning end of, because, like, to your point, it's one thing to inject the spirit of, it's
Mhm.
another thing to be like, oh no, this is the 616, and now all of your purist fans are like,
Yeah,
Right.
it gets
So
really weird now.
I think they have the opportunity within whatever next movie they have that talks about the universes to rectify that.
Well, that's the
To
thing. They've
to
said it
go back and
twice.
be like, yeah, they said it twice,
Because
but
when
you still got time.
Mysterio popped up, was like, "Yeah, we're in the 616," and we thought he was a
But
fake, and that
that
was
nigga lied. So,
yeah. But now,
that was fake news, that was
that was
spies.
because I mean their universe number up until Mysterio said what he said was 19999. Always has been.
which is perfectly
Don't
fine.
don't touch the 616, baby. It's not
Right,
yours.
right.
You just got here.
Yeah,
We've been here. So,
yeah.
um, but I think what would make this interesting is if every universe that they travel to thought they were the 616,
That would be interesting.
because and this was my final point that I wanted to make. I
Hmm.
think the concept of incursions makes the grand scheme of this whole multiverse thing actually have consequence. Because up until this point, like I said, most anything multiverse related is going to pretty much just say throw out the dishes with the bathwater. Like, I won't
Well,
say
that's
throw out the
because
baby
they
with the
usually
bathwater, but
they kind of like usually hop in and hop out.
yeah,
They're like, oh, oh,
Right.
like the whole point of like America just being in a different universe and it not affecting the way that the world operates is a problem. But that's theory and physics on another level.
Right.
Um, like the fact that our heartbeat might just beat at a different rate than everybody else's could kill her.
Yeah.
But
I mean, she mentioned the fact that, how do you know my stomach doesn't work differently and I can
right,
actually eat this pizza, which is okay.
very real. Yeah.
Guess what?
Um,
None of that's going to have an impact going forward. She's going to be perfectly fine.
yeah. But I think with the concept of incursions, you can see, previous casting and callbacks happen in a way that does not mess up the grand scheme of the MCU.
Right.
But I wonder if after we reach whatever the big lead is to this, if we're done.
Mhm.
And part of me hopes that we are.
Well, I have something on that as well. I
Speak
think
your piece.
I think Feige creating or embracing the multiverse, and I've said this since it all this multiverse stuff started, is he has a built-in way to reboot this entire thing, because you can just say, hey, that was the 616. We're done with that story. We're going to reboot with new actors, new stories, new all this, and Earth 123 over here. So he has a built-in way to just restart this thing, because
I agree.
people are going to get old, people are going to quit. Unfortunately, people are going to die in real life, and you just can't, like, the biggest part of this is hoping no one like gets sick, gets canceled, or dies throughout this entire thing. And they made it almost 10 years without that happening.
Getting canceled. That's a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Ask the Mandalorian, right? Like,
That's the Gina Carano of it all. Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, and Chadwick Boseman, like, you know, the whole stance that they have on not replacing Black Panther.
Yeah.
Part of me is like, I understand the respect of it all, but y'all literally now travel different universes.
Right.
Lakeith Stanfield could show up and be Black Panther from another universe, and it'd be what it is.
Yeah.
So,
And honestly, I think that's what's going to happen. I think what they're saying is, we're not going to have someone just replace 616.
well, no, like I said, the whole concept of incursions sets up so much precedence
Right.
for what they can do and what, you know, what they're allowed to do now, because you don't have to worry anymore about, well, you had such and such casted for the last movie. New universe, baby. You know,
Right.
and incursion happened while y'all weren't looking. So, you know.
Yeah. And it leads to your point about the X-Men, which has been my point about the X-Men. You literally can't do the X-Men as, oh, they just popped up because of the snap or anything like that. Because the biggest part of the X-Men story is we were discriminated against since birth, and we have been shot down and all this other stuff. You can't just have them come into this universe and people just start discriminating against them.
I mean, there's whole storylines of Kang fighting. Yeah, there's a whole storylines of Kang fighting Apocalypse.
Yeah.
That predates everything.
Yeah. Not to mention the Holocaust and all this other stuff that is a big part of these characters. You cannot just say, oh, we just showed up. We've been on Krakoa for however long.
Right. Somebody had to know that there was some magnetic shift happening somewhere.
Right.
But we have reached the end of the episode. I appreciate K Sparks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, you obviously, whenever we invite somebody here, the intent is that you come back.
Oh, I would love to.
And we're gonna have these comic books discussions because, you know, I love Josh, but he don't talk comic books the way you talk comic books.
I can just offer like little quips and questions, and then watch you two like go at it, and that's good enough for me.
There we go. That's a whole episode for next season. That's how we'll do it. But yeah, thank you for watching BNR, and we will see you next time. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. While we are in our off season, we will still be doing BNR because we got movies coming out, baby. You know, we still got to review Moon Knight. We still got to review Thor. The boys are coming out. Like, there's so many things. So stick around. We will be